Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really dramatic, real-world financial lesson hidden right inside a seemingly everyday trip to the candy store. It's all about wealth, practicality, and the actual mechanics of what makes money work in the modern world. Because, as we'll see, having assets isn't always the same thing as having money.
Okay, let's set the scene at the Sion Paragon Candy Zone. We've got this character, a level 2 mimic. She is a high society woman dressed literally head to toe in heavy gold and diamonds. She is projecting massive wealth. But here's the catch. She doesn't have a single baht of actual cash on her. So she's standing there absolutely dripping in physical assets, just trying to buy a piece of candy. And man, does this perfectly illustrate a core financial problem. The merchant politely tells her they only take cash or a QR scan, while the mimic, who has zero liquidity, just erupts. She yells at the cashier, demanding to know if she's supposed to literally take a saw to her jewelry to pay for a 5 baht treat. I mean, it's a completely absurd visual, right? Carving up a gold bar for a piece of candy? But it hits the nail on the head regarding the massive flaw with physical stores of value.
Which brings us to Section 1, the 5 baht candy crisis, and the problem of illiquid wealth.
Let's break down this crisis for a second. You have the mimic's huge physical wealth, gold, diamonds, stuff that's historically very valuable. But against the immediate need of a merchant who requires cash or a quick digital scan, all that wealth is entirely frozen. And the stakes are real here. There's a kid standing right there crying for the candy. Now, watching this whole ordeal from a distance is Satoshi. He just shakes his head and makes his profound observation. Having immense wealth that you can't actually use in the moment, that's the exact same as having absolutely nothing. If you can't transact, your purchasing power is practically zero.
So how do we get around this friction? Let's move to Section 2, Lightning Quick Scan, powered by digital speed.
Right after Satoshi snaps his fingers, this 23-year-old named Alicesa steps in to save the day for the crying kid. And she doesn't pull out a gold bar. Nope. She confidently pulls out her smartphone, opens up an app called the Wallet of Satoshi, and with one smooth motion, scans the merchant's code. Ding! The transaction is totally finalized in seconds. No slicing, no hacksaws required.
Now, the really fascinating part is the exact number that pops up on Elisa's screen to settle this. Just 84. Specifically, 84 Satoshi. At the time of this story, that equals roughly 2 Thai baht. Think about how incredibly microscopic that value is, yet how flawlessly it handles this tiny microtransaction.
Alicesa turns to the completely bewildered mimic and sums up the power of this tech perfectly. She says, just a fraction of money can buy happiness. It literally only takes a tiny fractional sliver of digital money to purchase real-world utility and, stop a kid's tears. It's such an elegant solution to the clunky reality of physical wealth. And that brings us to Section 3, the expensive lesson, where we see the clash of old versus new tech. The mimic is just stunned, completely confused by how seamless this was. She starts stuttering, demanding to know what country even issues this mysterious 84 sa whatever currency. She just can't wrap her head around money that isn't tied to a chunk of metal or a central bank. But right on cue, Bitdraw appears. He goes from being a dormant, high-tech 100-sided dice and transforms into an advanced robotic dragon. He flies right up into the mimic's face and offers her a Crypto for HISO educational course for the highly specific fractional price of 0.01 BTC.
The mimic's reaction? Pretty much what you'd expect from someone terrified of new tech. She screams ghost and runs away in a total panic. But in a rush, her physical wealth literally becomes a liability. She drops this heavy diamond ring right onto the floor. Satoshi calmly walks over, scoops it up, and decides, hey, he'll keep the diamond to cover Bidra's course fee. The old wealth literally falls right into the hands of the new system.
This whole dramatic encounter brings us to our ultimate financial takeaway in Section 4, God's divisibility, and the power of infinite flexibility. So to answer the mimic's confusion, a Satoshi is definitely not some new country's fiat money. It is simply the smallest, foundational subunit of a single Bitcoin. Think of it as the digital equivalent of a cent, but infinitely more precise.
And this right here is exactly why digital assets win in everyday utility. Look at physical gold. You just cannot carve off a tiny piece of a gold bar or snap off part of a diamond ring to buy a piece of candy. For small purchases, it's practically indivisible. But a single Bitcoin? It can be smoothly, effortlessly,
and mathematically divided into 100 million microscopic parts. 100 million Satoshis. Zero physical friction.
Satoshi actually walks over after the commotion to wrap up the lesson. He says, "You can buy a single candy or whole stars. It works exactly the same." And that proves the infinite flexibility of true divisibility. The exact same network, the exact same digital asset can scale all the way down to buy a 5-baht candy or scale up to buy something as massive as a star, all without ever needing a hacksaw. Divisibility is literally the magic that turns a clunky store of value into an incredibly efficient medium of exchange. If you thought the mechanics of this transaction were fascinating, you're definitely going to want to see how we apply these lessons next time. Make sure you join us for our next explainer, EP09, The Clean Money. Until then, keep analyzing the systems around you.